Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this evening's concert in New Music Dublin. Tonight, we are delighted to have the RTÉ Concert Orchestra performing a new work by Natasha Paulberg, who is with me this evening. Hello, Natasha. I hope you're well.
Nice to see you,
So
Duncan.
we're just going to have a quick chat, really, about Natasha's background and what she's been doing up until now, and then also ask Natasha to introduce her piece. So, Natasha, tell us a little bit about how you came to be doing this.
So the whole musical journey, obviously, it's like as a kid, always being involved in music and from a musical family. But I did music as a like leaving cert in Australia equivalent. But I actually started into science. I actually went and became an osteopath first, so completely different. So science is something I find interesting, which obviously comes to this piece, the idea of atoms and elemental parts and things. So I started as an osteopath pretty much because I think my parents were like, get a real job, that kind of thing first before we do music. So, but I always did music, even as an osteopath. Worked part time, but always did music. So, and then I went and did the MMT, Music and Media Technologies in Trinity, masters a few years ago. I came to Ireland first, obviously, on a backpacking trip, and never left. so, so I don't think my family were too pleased, but I just fell in love with Ireland. So anyway, I went to Trinity, and that's where I really got into the musicopathy, into music full time. And during that time, um, got the Fulbright scholarship actually to go to UCLA to do film scoring. So that's that film scoring side of things. I was always into film scoring, but also it's like the idea of as a composer, I love the idea of a narrative or a story or a concept, right? I find that quite helpful, and that really marries well with film. But also my background is concert music, contemporary music, having gone to Trinity, and I did a PhD as well in music composition and music technology. So that's kind of my background. So it's definitely the contemporary concert music feeding into film music.
Right. Cool. That's very, very interesting to hear. Intriguing. Also, how long did you actually work as an osteopath for?
For quite a while, I only actually gave it up about 2.5, 3 years ago completely.
All right.
I, there's something about, you know, obviously being a composer in a studio day in, day out, it can be quite isolating. It can actually be a lonely, or you're alone a lot of the time. And I did like the idea. I mean, I didn't work very much, maybe 5 hours a week for many years. For the last, maybe, gosh, 8 years, I've only worked about 5 hours, maybe 10 at the most. But it was so nice to actually just be with people. And just, I mean, I like people. I find them very interesting, people's stories. So it kind of gave me time out. And you meet some really interesting people in film as well, actually. So weirdly enough, sometimes I've gotten work through the osteopathy going into film. So,
That's
so
just
it's interesting.
yeah, that's not a kind of marketing strategy that most people would adopt, but hey, it works for you.
Exactly. It's just one of those serendipity things. But so I only gave it up purely because I just didn't have the time anymore about 2 years ago.
That's great. I mean, your clients must have when they say, "Well, so what else do you do?" What you say,
Yeah.
"Oh, actually, this is my spare time job. I'm really a film composer."
Oh, they're loving it. I get lots of messages now at the moment. Oh, I saw this, and they've seen the journey, obviously. Because when I was doing my PhD, I was working in the clinic as well. So it's been made a lot of friends too, a lot of really good people.
Right. Wow, that's a wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
insight. So tell us a little bit about your piece then today.
Yes. Well, it's called Atomic Hope, and obviously going back to the idea. I did science as part of my undergrad. I just was thinking a lot about what's happening at the moment, how as people, yes, we're all individuals, but when we come together as a whole, that's when we really make something as a family, or as an organization or group. And even in collaborative work in film, especially, it's such a collaborative process. And then also concert music, it's the musicians, it's the collaboration there. We make something together that's better than ourselves. So I was just kind of thinking of the ideas of at the moment, we're like these little, the electrons, we're and I just kind of thought of the idea, basically the structure of the atom, and how you've got the electrons, the protons, the neutrons, um, and basically kind of mapped them to different movements within the piece. So, for example, the first movement one is called Electron, and electron, it's a negative charge. So I kind of felt it kind of represents not that it's negative, but like industry and business, and how as humans and as a world we think we're in control. We think we've got it all sorted, and obviously we don't with this pandemic. You can see how easily things can just be upended. So that's the first piece. It's a little bit more not aggressive, but a little bit more. There's something to it that's a little bit more aggressive than the other pieces. And then the second piece is Proton, which is a positive charged particle. So that's when I start to think of, family. So we've got the interconnectedness in industry and business, but then also relationships, family. And it's a quirky piece because it shows of us, we're just always running around doing stuff, aren't we? Or we used to, the shopping and this and traveling. And, it's like we're little ping pongs bouncing off one another all over the world. So that reminded me of Proton, and the piece is quite quirky and upbeat. And then the third movement is Neutron, which is neutral charge. So that's when I was like, that represents where we are now at the moment. All of a sudden, it's just everything's neutral. We're in stasis. There's nothing, obviously there's lots of difficult things happening, but it's just a real sense of limbo and stasis. So the piece is much quieter, introspective as well, because I think this time we have time to think about what do we want? Who are we? And there's a lot of people thinking about their lives, and I think that will change when we come out of this, what they might do in the future. So it's kind of contemplative, a little bit sad, because obviously there's a lot of difficulties as well, but there's hope as well in it. And that's the last, fourth movement is called Atomic Hope, the idea of slowly things will start up again, we'll come together and we'll make that whole again. And then it's the Atomic Hope at the end.
Great. That's very precise and succinct as an introduction.
Yeah.
And also just to say that you are joined in this, visually speaking, by the animator James Keane, who is recording live animation. I mean, we say recording live animation. He's animating live to your piece as part of the presentation this evening. So, and you've worked fairly closely with him, is that right?
Yes. So James Keane is a fabulous visual artist. So he has listened to the music. Obviously, he's been sitting with the music for a while and churning his connectedness to it. So he basically just draws what he feels in representing the music. And it's beautiful. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but it's such a beautiful piece of him connecting with the music. And he was talking about how it's his exploration of movement in relation to the elements. So we're all talking about elements and particles, the elements within the music as well, all the different parts that are coming together that he's showing visually.
Wonderful. I can't wait to see it. That's very, very exciting.
Yeah.
Natasha, thank you very, very much indeed. And I really appreciate you talking with me today. And now we are off. Well, we're not off. It's actually already pre-recorded. We're going to hear and see the RTÉ Concert Orchestra's new work by Natasha Paulberg. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.